Stories are a part of our human evolution. Whether they're fiction, non-fiction, biographical, horror, action, etc., 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 stories have shaped the way that we see the world. In the modern era, we have experienced these stories in a more visual way, such as movies, TV shows, anime, and, for the sake of this video, video games. Video games have also been part of us for almost 70 years, and the medium has been and keeps evolving, from tennis for two to a game where every little decision can cost your playthrough. It's been fascinating to see how more and more people create games just to tell a story. Stories about grief, hope, found family, love, vengeance, lost, and many, many other things. However, the big question surrounding this topic is, do stories actually matter in a game? And the short answer is yes. Well, the long one is also yes, but let's just dive in and see why. And for me, there are 3 points that show why stories matter. The examples I'm going to use are games that I think have great stories and have moved me in an emotional way. So of course, if you have a game that connected with you in an emotional way like I did with these games, just let me know in the comments. Point number 1, it helps with immersion. Immersion is a deep mental involvement in something, and for me, this is crucial in a game. Games where, through different mechanics or storytelling techniques, make me understand a character better. Let's take, for example, Cyberpunk 2077. And I know I've talked about this game before, but just hear me out for a second, okay? The game is in a first-person perspective because it serves the story, especially when the main character V starts having seizures throughout the game. It helps me understand the stakes. They are not world-ending stakes, of course, but it makes it even more relatable to me. It's about survival, finding meaning, and every time V collapses, my heart hurts. And again, I have a whole video about it. You can just check it. I have it somewhere over here if you want to check that out. Now, does a game need to be in a first-person perspective to be immersed in a game or in a story or in the characters? Absolutely not. And I have the best example for that. God of War 2018. Now, this game, of course, is in a different perspective, but that doesn't mean that it's not as immersive as Cyberpunk, in the sense that I can't feel what the character feels. Quite the contrary. Something that I really like about this game, other than, of course, the great combat, is how the camera follows Kratos, and only Kratos. This game feels like the whole thing was played in one shot. The camera doesn't follow the other characters, there's no quick cuts, nothing. It stays where Kratos is. The reason why it helps is because he can't hide his feelings to the audience. The subtext on every scene can be clearly identified because of the close-ups. Kratos is not the kind of character who exposes his feelings. In fact, the reason he is the way he is just so his son doesn't end up like him. That's why this perspective serves him very well. Every grunt, every moment of silence, I feel it, and millions of other players felt it too because of how well they presented these characters. It kept me on edge for the whole thing. And then, when Kratos finally confesses to Atreus about who he is, a god, this moment felt huge because of how many times they've used emotional restraint through action and performance. Seeing it in full display helped me understand that grief attacks everybody in different ways, and the way this game did it with a man that kills everything he touches felt refreshing. The level of scope that this game shows, it's enhanced by its rich story, and the third-person perspective definitely helps.
Any weapon comes from here.
Now, point number 2 for you. Stories are mirrors of who we really are. Baldur's Gate 3, Outer Worlds, and Skyrim have something that I've come to enjoy more and more. Decision-based dialogue. It is one of my favorite gameplay mechanics in an RPG. And the reason for this is because it helps me understand what kind of person I want to be. A scoundrel looking for money, a vengeful bounty hunter, an acclaimed hero. All these things are possible thanks to how it is presented. Baldur's Gate 3 is probably the best example here. It is the type of game that you can either kill everything and everyone, or you can use your words instead. There have been many times where I knew I was outnumbered and I probably couldn't fight as well as I probably wanted, so I would focus on using different strategies to prevent that fight. Persuasion, intimidation, or bribery are very common tropes in these types of RPGs, but this is where it excels. It made me think, who do I really want to be if I was in this fictional world? I don't consider myself as a troublemaker, so I would rather just choose an option that I can just prevent a fight if I can.
Is gone. The rest, perhaps, is.
Now, let's use another example, and it's the amazing Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, this is a sandbox Western open world game where there isn't a lot of decision making, quite like in Baldur's Gate 3 or the games that I mentioned before, but there's something that I think is great nonetheless, and that's the honor system. So this is influenced by different things. If you kill innocent people, steal, or just decide to be unpleasant, the honor system will lower, making you an unredeemable outlaw. Same thing if you decide to be nice, greet people, help others, and even in some missions you can refuse to take money from people that you already helped, and that will increase the honor system, making you an honorable cowboy. At first glance, I didn't think this would affect the game, but alas, it did. There are certain cutscenes where Arthur can be either a jerk or respectable depending on that honor system. And, big spoilers by the way, this is your spoiler alert, when he dies and John Marston takes the helm in the epilogue, he can go to where Arthur was buried. Now, depending on the honor system, you can see the tombstone full of flowers and remembrance and respect for him, or it can just be completely empty and desolate. This is about how do I want to be remembered, as a kind, although flawed person, or a good-for-nothing scoundrel. This is about legacy and what do I want to leave behind, facing my own mortality through that journey. That's what makes this game so memorable. Speaking of which,
I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan.
my third and final point, stories leave an impact way after the credits roll. Now, games are interactive by nature. Without the stories, most of these moments would feel dull after the credits roll. Story is what makes a game into a memory for me. I don't remember how many enemies I've defeated, but I remember why I fought. For love, vengeance, justice. All of these things are more memorable because of the context of the story. I spent hours and hours getting immersed into a game, and there will always be the one moment where I remember why I loved them. Moments like in Marvel's Spider-Man, when Peter decides to save New York instead of Aunt May. He almost caved in, but soon realized that as much as he hates losing people he loves, the rest of the people needed him. That's what makes him a hero. Or when Jin Sakai fights his uncle in a fight about honor. This moment got engraved in my head because these two characters clearly love each other and have a huge amount of respect, but life and the circumstances they were in made their paths divide them. This fight, being the last one, put the whole story into perspective. What is honor, and does it really matter in a world where such a thing is laid to waste while innocent people keep dying? These moments are the ones that keep bringing me back to Ghost of Tsushima. And for my last example for this point, Player Obscure Expedition 33. And again, big spoilers here. You ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. The end of Act 1 was one of the most unexpected yet beautifully written in the whole game, in my opinion. Even after the credits rolled, I couldn't believe that they had the audacity to kill Gustav, who was supposed to be the main character. This was the moment where the game became a lot more serious and much darker, in my opinion. And then seeing the rest of the party dealing with grief and pain made the game even better, in my opinion. The phrase "for those who come after" has such a deep meaning throughout the story, and this moment reflects it perfectly.
Run. Please run.
So, in the end, stories in games are the reason I keep coming back. Not for the mechanics, not for the trophies, but for the moments that stay with me long after I put the controller down. Stories helps us understand characters, they hold a mirror to who we are, and sometimes they leave a mark that changes how we see the world. Games remind me that meaning doesn't come from winning. It comes from the choices we make, the people we protect, and the things we're willing to let go. That's why stories matter. Now, I want to know which games left an impact on you and why you keep coming back. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and you'll see me on the next one.